Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage. Also like and comment.
And welcome back to Pit Race. It is now time for the second round of the racing competition for the Royal Enfield Build Train Race program. It's a beautiful day. Once these clouds have gone away, I am Jamie Howe, joined up in the booth by Bree Poland, the marketing director for Royal Enfield. This was your baby project, Bree. You saw this, you envisioned it, and then you implemented all of your thoughts, and you got these 7 women out on the racetrack.
And now we're really starting to see their skills, you know, and how they're applying it. And watching them this morning in qualifying, we didn't know what the track conditions were like, and just seeing them just out there, and just they all came in happy, smiling, and they're just ready to race. Like, the excitement's really there.
We did have some rain overnight early this morning, and the track was wet for qualifying in some places, and that was nerve-wracking for these 7 racers who really have never raced before. What was the conversation like back in the pit afterwards?
Well, we don't have a second set of wheels for the women, which is something that we'll bring into consideration for next year. So regardless, they would have had to be on their slick. So before they went out, Melissa and I just told them, go out to the track first couple laps, just feel out the track, look for the wet spots. They all came back in, they were excited. Kayla just came out of nowhere and chopped about 7 seconds off, I guess, her time from yesterday, and ended up qualifying 4th. And she finally has a bike that she knows, because I think we talked about it before, is she's changed her bike multiple times to be able to, suit her as a rider. And, she had a front end that really wasn't working before, and now she's really getting to know her bike, and coming up there on 4th. So I think you're going to see some really good racing today.
It's going to be super great, exciting racing from what I've heard from the ladies this morning. They're all looking forward to making those passes today. That's something we didn't see a whole lot of in the first race at Brainerd. If you're new to this program, all of 7 racers were delivered the same Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 stock motorcycle. They had to build the bike themselves into a race bike. That was the B portion. Then the T is training. They all went through various racing schools and track days to get comfortable on the motorcycles, and then the race element. This is now the second race of a 3-race season. We have another member of our broadcast team, is Hannah Lopa, and she is down on pit lane. Good afternoon, Hannah.
Hi, Jamie. As you mentioned at the start of the show, the cloud cover has definitely parted ways. The sun is coming out for some beautiful conditions for the ladies today. This morning we saw much different conditions in that qualifying practice. The track was a bit damp, but it was really crucial for them to go out and get those laps and really improve their track knowledge. So hopefully by the time race time this afternoon, they'll be prepared to make those passes that you mentioned. They were so spread out at Brainerd. The times are much closer here. So a lot of them have been kind of visualizing and trying to see where would be a good opportunity to pass, but they're looking forward to that kind of new dynamic for this race.
And that was something, Bree, that you talked about yesterday. When you're deciding which race tracks to go to, you wanted a little bit of variety. Here at Pit Race, there are those options that Hannah was talking about to make safe passes.
So every track is different, but we did, I went back and forth with MotoAmerica, and I really didn't want to put too many I would say crazy courses on it. I wanted to have a variety, but I also didn't want something to scare them. Something that was going to say, I don't want to go racing again. So the courses that we chose, I thought would have varying degrees of, difficulty, elevation, tight turns, long straights, or whatever. And the ladies are just begging for more.
And it was something after qualifying that they said that finally feels like we're doing things habitually. Like, it's all becoming more natural. It's not like thinking, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And they're starting to feel like they're one with their motorcycles now.
Yeah, and it was interesting. So I was checking out the girls' Instagram post for the day, and I saw Becky, and she was sitting there in the stands alone watching the TV. And she's like, I'm actually really getting into this road racing thing. And that's the one thing I think I've talked about, is I wanted to see that excitement in Becky. And something happened this morning, it really clicked. And then she just went and watched, on her own. And she came back, and she was like, okay, I saw them doing this. Like, I know it's a different kind of motorcycle, but I think I can apply that in the race. And that's what the intention of this program is just to keep honing their skills and keep making them excited. And the excitement from the people, the sport bike track time, their coaches showed up today, and we didn't know they were coming. And they're like, just watching the girls from Brainerd to now, and just seeing how, they've gotten so much better and more comfortable on their motorcycles. It's just an amazing thing to watch.
The one rider that 6 of the girls are chasing has been CJ Lukash. came from a motocross background, but was really excited about this road race experience. All 7 of these women had to apply to be a part of this. They went through a selection process. Here is CJ Lukash and why she decided to join this program.
My name is CJ, and I reside in Ridgecrest, California. I am one of the 7 BTR participants for this year's Royal Enfield Build, Train, Race road race program. Building it, I definitely have some nerves, and then racing it, because, you know, it's completely different than dirt bikes. It's not as forgiving. Born and raised riding dirt bikes, you know, stuck with it, ended up turning pro in 2013. Street riding was more of a leisure. I actually teach at the local high school. I teach freshman health. I also coach baseball and basketball. This program and how that came about, I was on my prep period from between classes, and that feed came up, and I was like, oh, what's that? And kind of just gandered through. I was like, that's the dopest thing I've ever seen. Down the line for this to have come about, I'm like, wow, what? There's so much that goes into street bikes that I'm not familiar with, so it's a lot more intimidating, and I'm not as savvy with, you know, just tearing it down and trusting that I'll be able to put it back together like I do dirt bikes. You have to get the wheels changed to the right size. You gotta, you know, change the ergonomics just enough to race it effectively on a racetrack. This is, like, again, the raddest opportunity, and if this is something that can take off, I would be so inclined to do that. I'm looking forward to that go fast portion of it. Yeah. No better feeling out there than being able to, you know, race bar to bar with anybody. Melissa Paris is so knowledgeable and such an icon in the sport, and to have that support has just been hands down awesome. If you have any interest whatsoever to get into riding any form of 2 wheels, do it. Just try it at least once. And, you know, can't say I'd guarantee it, but I want to say I'd guarantee that you be hooked. And, you know, for starters, the Continental GT is a great starter bike. You know, it's rideable. Everything from building it, I mean, come on, you know, and then being able to train on this thing and being able to race this thing is going to be epic. I'm really excited.
That was our pole sitter, CJ Lukash. You see her there on the track. These ladies are ready, Bree. They're ready to get this second race started.
It's go time.
CJ was scared yesterday after practice. We saw she had a problem. We thought it was with the foot peg, but it was actually a bolt that had come out.
And it was hitting the engine case. Yeah. So, I mean, luckily it wasn't something, you know, worse than that. Like, it was, you know, it took us a while to diagnose it. We're still, like, learning, and got it fixed, and bike was good to go right before the downpour last night.
This is the warm-up lap for all 7 of these riders. So it's our last chance to see the track before we get going to racing.
I have a feeling this is going to be a really good race.
See everybody taking their turns there. Scarlett Grossland-Horst is 7th. She starts 7th, and she had a great practice yesterday. She was extremely frustrated following qualifying. She only got 2 laps in qualifying this morning. You see how they're all going to line up. CJ Lukash will be our pole sitter, followed by Becky Goebel and Trisha Dahl. The 3 of them were our podium in race number 1 in that order just a couple weeks ago at Brainerd. Alyssa Bridges, Michaela Trumbull, Kayla Teisler, and Scarlett Grossland-Horst round out all 7 of these riders. But there's a lot of room for passing here, and everybody's still learning. We saw gaps of time being made up from session to session. I mean, 8, 9, 10 seconds.
It's incredible from yesterday until this morning, and you would think on, you know, with the track conditions this morning, you wouldn't have seen that much progression, but it was there.
CJ Lukash did a 2:14.7 to earn the pole position, and there was an 11-second gap yesterday after the first practice, or the second practice, sorry, between her and Becky Goebel, but Becky closed that gap in qualifying to just short of 4 seconds. She turned a 2:18.2 to qualify on the front row.
No, again, and Becky's one that continuously surprises me. She wasn't feeling so great this weekend. You know, she's been on the road working a lot. You know, she went from Brainerd up to Sturgis and then back here, and she hasn't really had a lot of rest time, and she was feeling a little under weather. But, again, an incredible athlete, so it's nice to see her back up on, you know, the top for the start of this race.
Alyssa Bridges starts down in sixth place, and she struggled with her start at Brainerd, but she thought outside of the box. And Royal Enfield participates in drag racing down in Australia, and she reached out to Santina Keith, who has the quickest time, the quickest quarter-mile pass on a Royal Enfield bike, and got some starting tips.
Yeah, Santina's, she's an American living in Australia, and she actually owns a Royal Enfield dealership, but she has been a great support network for both of my BTR programs. She talks to all the ladies. She sent over parts from over in Australia, and, you know, and we obviously try to support her in her drag racing over there.
So Alyssa was looking for a better start today. I mean, really all of the ladies are. It's only their second time to do this in competition ever. So you would expect some gains to be made here.
Yeah, I definitely see Alyssa. She's going to try to work her, you know, get a really good start and, you know, be in the front of the pack. She takes this really hard on herself.
I spoke with all 7 to see if they did their practice starts. The only one who did not was Becky Goebel. Let's see how they do. And we are racing. You see Becky had a little bit of a problem there on that start, losing several positions, falling back down into, see, she dropped all the way back to 5th, it looks like.
Yeah, those starts will get you every time.
Everybody clean, though. Calm down a little bit, getting into turn 1. Watching the body position of Trisha Dahl, I saw her over with Melissa Paris. They were working on her position. She's tall, and she was having a hard time really feeling the bike.
You know, something when she came off of qualifying this morning, she was talking about how much her knees are hurting every time she's getting off the bike. So we suggested that she watch practice and qualifying and see, you know, if she's putting too much pressure on those areas. So hopefully she feels a little bit better at the end of this race today. So it looked like Alyssa dropped back. She was in 3rd, and now she's right behind Kayla.
She definitely got a better start, but she does struggle. She said admittedly she struggles with being aggressive. She's being too nice, and that was something that CJ, who still leads the field, that was something that CJ had talked to her about, was you can't be polite out during the race.
Yeah, this is racing. You know, like, they might be friends off the track, but when they get on there, you know, that's a completely different scenario. And, you know, the thing is after qualifying, Alyssa was really stoked, and she said she felt great out there, and she felt like she went faster than she did all weekend, but then she was beating up herself when she saw that she had qualified in 6th. And something that Melissa is trying to talk to her about is, you shaved a lot of time off of where you ended yesterday. You should be proud of that. You know, and if you get a good start, you can work your way back up through the field.
So we watch CJ Lukash. She just looks so comfortable. It looks so natural to her, but she said that she was struggling with it. In between Brainerd and here, she went back to ride her dirt bikes, which is how she trains. It's what she does for, you know, in all of her free time. And she got a little backwards on herself, trying to go back and forth from road racing to dirt. But she does look comfortable.
She does, and, you know, the first day out there, she wasn't having her best time, and then she had the issue, you know, but today she went out there, she, you know, rested last night, and she put it back on pole.
Hannah, did you talk to CJ also?
I did, and as you guys mentioned, you know, she said that she was struggling yesterday just to kind of settle into a good rhythm. Obviously, they're still learning this track, so that was kind of a learning curve. And she did say she wanted to be more aggressive, especially in those S's in the back section. Overall, she made some adjustments to make the bike turn better, and noticed it was so much better this morning, but ultimately she just wants to be consistent, not ride over her head, and really carry the positive momentum from practice this morning throughout the entirety of this race.
And from the standing start, her quickest time, her first time here was a 2:14.74, so she's already quicker than she was in qualifying from a standing start.
Well, that, and I think, you know, track conditions have changed. You know, it's a little warmer out there. There's better grip out there. She, you know, had more time on the track, so, you know, I don't imagine this is going to be her fastest time.
And Becky Goebel's making her way back up through the field. She just made that pass on Trisha Dahl to move up into the 2nd position. So she got herself back to where she was starting from, but she had to work to do that.
She did. You know, that's why I keep telling them practicing your starts is extremely important. She could probably be up there with CJ right now if she, you know, would have had a better start. It's nice to see Michaela coming up on behind Trisha.
Michaela had a lot of work to do this morning. She had her wiring was all in the wrong places, really. She went through tech, and the tech officials told her this is becoming a little bit of a safety issue. You're going to need to address this. So she had a lot of work to do this morning.
She did, and she had, the whole group of guys helping her too, and trying to figure out the best way to rewire everything. But they got it done, and she's out there. And a shame for Scarlett. I think, like going back to that, is she missed half of qualifying this morning because she had a sensor issue that was causing her bike to shut off. And she was so pumped after yesterday in that third, finishing up third, and then today getting, half the time, and then, being last on the grid. So she is really bummed out with that situation. But that happens in racing. Sometimes there's a mechanical, and you got to figure out a way to not let it ruin you before you go out there and race.
Michaela Trumbull is now closing in that gap on Trisha Dahl, who is back in third position now. She's getting closer.
Yeah, and again, now these women really do trust riding with each other, and they're going to push themselves harder. And like you were talking about, Alyssa, is, passing. If you want that podium, you've got to pass some of your teammates.
And you do consider them teammates, don't you? They're all under the same awning. They're all competing against each other in these 3 races, but they're in this program together.
Yeah, and they really do build and lean on each other. I know, CJ's been a really good rock. Scarlett came over yesterday. We all sat on the ground, and Scarlett was asking CJ, okay, I know, this corner, but what are you doing in that corner? What gear are you in? And it's really nice to see them when they're not on the track together, really, share insights and, help each other and give each other feedback.
Michaela's still looking, see if she can get a little bit closer to Trisha. She was explaining to me that during the training portion of the program, they really didn't work on passing. They were being passed. They were out on the track with some riders on super bikes, so there was a big closing speed, but they weren't themselves making those moves to make the pass, and that's something that was really intimidating for her.
Yeah, and the coaches at Sport Bike Track Time did encourage them to try to pass, but I think a lot of it was the mix of nerves, and they had never rode with these, each other before ever, and they also have, 1,000cc motorcycles flying past them, so it was really nerve-wracking.
She's definitely thinking about it now. That gap has closed down to 0.6 of a second, so there's definitely some gains being made. CJ Lukash still leads the field. She's dropped down to a 2:12, so that's the quickest that we have seen from these Royal Enfield riders all weekend.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't think a 2:14 was going to be her fastest time, but 2 seconds is quite a bit to chop off from that.
We see Kayla Teisler and Alyssa Bridges out on track together. Kayla's from just about 30 minutes from here. She grew up in Ohio, in Coatesville, Ohio, and she has friends here. She came here as a spectator when MotoAmerica came in 2017, 2018. She said she can't believe that at this point in her life that she's actually out on the racetrack that she used to come and watch at.
Yeah, and even crazier is her parents are here, and this is the first time they've ever seen her race anything. So Kayla races flat track, she's a sidecar monkey, and her parents have never been able to see her race a car or a motorcycle ever. So they came and they have these crazy loud shirts. It's a picture of her on her bike, and it's hilarious. But, I think her parents are incredibly proud.
She went to Youngstown State with some of her college friends that came with her back then. Are here today to watch her race also. So it's pretty cool. It comes full circle for her.
And that's what I love is that, these women, have cheering squads with them and, the motivation, and they know that they're going to, have someone there rooting for them outside of, say me. I have a feeling the two of them, it's going to get really interesting with Alyssa and Kayla shortly. And Kayla is so incredibly elated to have, finished 4th in qualifying. And I think that's giving her an extra drive.
And Alyssa's competitive, but in a studious way. She takes all of her notes. She has her notebook. She even created QR codes for each of the racetracks so that she can, when she doesn't have internet, like she's at the airport or on an airplane, she can scan her code and watch onboard video of the tracks that she's going to race at.
Have you seen her notebook? It's so many pages.
She did show me, yes.
It's crazy. And she was actually kind of bummed. She wanted to do a track walk. She learned a lot from Brainerd at that track walk. Unfortunately, the track walk is tonight, and the ladies aren't racing tomorrow, so it's not, it wouldn't really help them. So she was kind of bummed she didn't get that opportunity to really walk around the track and talk with Josh and Melissa about what lines they would take. But I think she's doing great out there. I know she's hard on herself, but, I think I've seen her improve every time she gets on that motorcycle.
And teammates, Josh Hayes and Melissa Paris, that you're talking about. Melissa being the mentor for this program, and she's really been with them from the very beginning. She built one of the bikes herself so she could answer the questions that they all had going through the same process with them, and then has been there every step of the way through training and racing as well. And I saw Alyssa and Melissa having a conversation before the race today, so I know Melissa's spending as much free time as she has over there.
Which is not a lot. You know, she's a crew chief for Hunter, and then she's a mom of 2 incredibly awesome toddlers, and then she's married to Josh. You know, so like she doesn't have a lot of free time, and we knew that was going to be the case going into the season, you know, being a full-time crew chief for Hunter and being the program mentor. And that's why it's important for me to be here, is that, you know, the ladies have someone that they know that, like, even if it's to talk about silliness or to get their head straight or whatever the case is, like, it's good for them to have somebody, you know, present. And Melissa does try to sneak over as much as she can.
As Kayla Teisler is still looking to get around Alyssa Bridges. That gap is closing, Hannah.
In talking to Alyssa, she said she really feels like she's at home at this track. She's pretending it's the twisty canyons of Ortega Highway in Southern California where she's from. But she said, you know, sometimes she has to bring herself back to reality and really focus and apply her racing knowledge, because she's just enjoying herself so much out there that she's forgetting that she's in a race. You know, she changed the suspension last night. It took a couple laps this morning to start trusting it, but, you know, she changed her brake markers in qualifying and realized she can brake deeper with more front end stability. Hopefully she'll be able to hold Michaela off with that in mind. You know, ultimately she just takes notes on a track map, and she woke up really early today to watch onboard and visualize what she needs to do to prepare her for this race.
Right now she is watching the back of Kayla Teisler, because Kayla was able to make that pass with just 2 laps to go.
I love it. I love seeing them be able to pass each other safely, and, you know, just, again, learning. It's great. You know, Scarlett's out there. Maybe she can get a little bit closer to them and get that confidence back that, you know, got taken away from her from missing part of qualifying this morning.
She really did lose that confidence. You know, when I spoke with her after qualifying this morning, yesterday she had this like spunk about her. She was excited, she was energized to be here, and was feeling really good about herself, but then she did lose that by missing those laps in qualifying, and hopefully she gets that back and she's ready to go for the final race in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think Barber's going to be fantastic. I asked the ladies if they wanted to stay and go through the Barber Museum and, you know, really take all that Barber has to offer, because it's not just the racetrack, it's the entire facility. And, you know, I want them to enjoy everything on and off the track.
That's all part of it, part of the program, experience road racing for everything that it is. CJ Lukash still leads the field on the final lap here. This is the second of 3 races. There's only one round left in this championship. What is it that they're racing for, Bree?
Well, we wanted to figure out, obviously this isn't, you know, I would say like the premier championship or anything like that, but to me this is an incredible program, and I do want to reward the women. So whoever wins the championship either gets to choose from a trip to Rider Mania, which is an event our company throws. It's probably the best motorcycle event I've ever been to, or to ride in the Himalayas on a Himalayan. So they get to choose.
Michaela Trumbull, as they come across the line, has made the pass over Trisha Dahl, so she's moved herself up into podium condition. We are on the last lap here. CJ Lukash leads Becky Goebel in second, Michaela Trumbull up into third.
You know, it's hard because they all ride for me, so like getting excited about every single one of them. But it's nice to see the podium switch up a little bit, you know?
Yes.
And Michaela celebrated her 5th place win at Brainerd, like,
as if she had won.
If she had won, you know, the lottery or whatever it was, and the excitement. So I can't even imagine how she's going to be if she finishes that, you know, 3rd step on the podium.
You can see CJ just won with her motorcycle. She didn't put a wheel wrong this entire session. She got herself back together after practice yesterday. Went through qualifying every step of the way. She just wants to be consistent. She doesn't want to think about what other people are doing. She just wants to focus on her bike, and just staying as close to her best as she can.
You know, something that she said to Melissa and I after Brainerd is that just because I'm winning doesn't mean I don't have a lot of learning left. So don't give up on me. Don't say, oh, because CJ won the race, you know, stop, you know, helping me understand my motorcycle more and pushing myself even further. And I love that. You know, sometimes someone might win a race and say, okay, I won it. Like, I don't need anything else from you. And that's not CJ's, you know, mindset.
No, she definitely has a good head on her shoulders as she comes down on the final straightaway, pumping the fist, taking the checkered flag for race number 2. Our winner is CJ Lukash. 2 in a row for CJ. And Becky Goebel, she says she doesn't understand why she's good at this. She hasn't figured that out on paper. She shouldn't be. She's never had any experience on a road bike, and she's been able to just feel it. She took all of the gauges off of her motorcycle. She doesn't leave herself any notes the way the other women do, but now 2 races in a row, as she looks behind her, she will finish second.
You know, it's something, she got so excited, she came up after me after qualifying. She's like, I dragged my knee for the first time. So she had me make a video of her dragging her knee. And
Trisha Dahl got around Michaela Trumbull on this final lap to round out the podium. So these women had their own little battle going on.
And we didn't even get to see it.
Trisha Dahl finishes in 3rd, Michaela Trumbull in 4th. But that's the most action that we've seen out of these 7 women.
Yeah, you know, the battle between Trisha and Michaela, and then Kayla and Alyssa in the back, like, we got some good racing going on.
You see the 2 of them, the camaraderie between them. You can tell that they had fun just by watching their body language. Here is the replay of that pass. We did get to see it. And she set her up. So I was going through the chicane. CJ Lukash, Becky Goebel, Trisha Dahl, in front of all of these fans, and the fans have been really receptive of this BTR program. I saw a lot of families walking by earlier and just enjoying everything that you were able to put together, Bree.
Yeah, they love asking questions. They love talking to the girls. They love seeing something different. Like, there's, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's not another all-women road race series out there, you know?
No.
So it's really nice to see the people's, it's genuine excitement.
But it's not just an all-women's racing program. They had to build the bikes themselves also, and that adds a whole nother element. Yeah. I couldn't do that. It adds an whole nother element to it.
You know, that's funny. Someone asked me a technical question yesterday, and I said, honestly, I just pay people to build my bikes. So they're doing a lot more. I mean, I know how. Like, honestly, if you need help on a motor, I can probably help you with that. But you know, I don't know how to do anything with the forks or whatever. So their technical skills are far above mine, and I've been in motorcycle industry for 20+ years.
They weren't afraid of the challenge. They've all been moving through the process with grace, really.
Yeah, I mean, of course they get levels of frustration and they get really hard on themselves, but they have kept their heads really cool. And I know that, like, personally, I would be extremely frustrated. You know, like Scarlett today, like, I know she's bummed on herself, but she still got out there, and she's like, okay, if I only have 6 minutes in qualifying, I'm still going to make the best of that time. And
she knew the race element was going to be the most difficult for her. She was honest about that from the beginning. She said she really wanted to do this for the build portion. Yep. and just the experience, the training portion as well, but she's not an overly competitive person, so she wasn't looking to win all 3 races.
No, and I think something that she had said to Melissa at one point is that, you know, when the racing's done, she'd like to convert it back into a street bike and ride it.
So here are the results from our race today. CJ Lukash as our winner for the 2nd round of this competition, Becky Goebel in 2nd, and Trisha Dahl rounding out our top 3, followed by Michaela Trumbull, Alyssa Bridges, Kayla Teisler, and Scarlett Grosenlund-Horst.
So it looks like Alyssa got back in front of Kayla.
The 2 of them definitely battled it out. So I can't wait for Barber.
It's going to be a good one.
This weekend alone, and all 7 of them. I can't wait for that 3rd and final round.
Yeah, and we're not, you know, they kept asking, are we going to have training in between? And honestly, between my other BTR program and Johnny Lewis on the flat track team, we just don't have, time. So I know they would love more training. We just don't have, enough right now.
As they all make their way into the podium area, you mentioned the other BTR program. You also have a flat track program. When you look at the 2 of them running at the same time of the season, how are they different?
It's so different, and actually my ladies are racing tonight in Weedsport, New York, and it's a shame that I can't be there. I was trying to get on a flight right after here, but it just doesn't work out. But the flat track bikes don't require as much work or as many modifications, and some of my flat track ladies have been with me for 2 seasons now. So they get the gamut. Like, I feel comfortable not being there with them or whatever, because I know that Eric Moldenhauer is my crew chief over on that side, and he made these beautiful rider packets. But I think in terms of that's the most adorable thing, the 2 little girls. There's a lot of differences in the programs. I know it's racing, but there's, flat track's a whole nother animal.
You mentioned those little girls that were standing off in the background watching as these three women pull into the podium area. That was the whole reason behind this program, right? You wanted little girls like them to see that they could be a part of this sport.
No, and that just makes my heart so happy. We've had so many, little girls. We had a senior in high school came over to us, and she's like, everyone keeps telling me to come check out this program, and I'm going to try it, but I have to graduate from high school first.
You see it says "not a boy" on CJ's leathers. We'll go ahead and send it down to Hannah Lopa, who is with our winner. Hannah.
Jamie, that makes 2 in a row for CJ Lukash for our Royal Enfield Build Train Race program. CJ, how was this race different from the last track that you won?
Very technical. I struggled a lot yesterday's practices, and I didn't feel that way at Brainerd, so it was very technical for me.
What would you say was the best part of this weekend, aside from winning, despite all of the struggles? Are you happy with your overall performance here?
Yeah, we made a lot of changes at the end of the day yesterday after that last session. Drastic changes that really paid off in qualifying today, and I couldn't be more happy with the help that we have. So,
well, an incredibly consistent performance all season long from you, but I know that it takes a village truly. Is there anybody that you had in mind you wanted to say thank you to today?
Oh my God, Brown Poland, Royal Enfield, Maxima, SBS, Dunlop, DynoJet, God, I'm probably forgetting Vortex, Mythos, Olin Suspension, Not a Boy, MetTech. I mean, there's my friends, my family that made it.
Well, congratulations on your victory, and thank you so much, CJ Lukash.
It's truly a tale of perseverance. She hurt her back in a crash back at Brainerd. She fought through that. She fought through the struggles this weekend and was able to bring home another victory.
It just shows what a good, athlete she truly is.
Well, as we look ahead to the next round, Bree, from your perspective, what is it that you're looking for in the final race?
Smiles.
All around.
Yep.
You see a couple smiles down there, Becky Goebel and Trisha Dahl, all waiting to go up onto the podium to collect their trophies for their hard work this weekend. And there was a lot of it. There were a lot of changes that had to be made, suspension changes. A lot of the girls had to go through some technical issues that they were struggling with. But Bree, they were able to get it done.
They absolutely were. I know Becky's going to come up to me and say, I know I should have practiced my starts. She's probably excited about the second place, but she's probably more worried about me asking her about her start.
She definitely made the job harder on herself, but she was able to get it done, just as all 7 women very cleanly finished this race. Bree, thank you for joining us up here today. We'll see everybody for the 3rd and final round at Barber Motorsports Park.